What caused the Berlin Blockade?
The city of Berlin was divided into two zones, East Berlin and West Berlin. The east side was controlled by the Soviet Union and the west side by the Allies, Britain, US and France. Stalin wanted to make West Berlin fail to communism by serving them of the food they needed and raw materials to survive, and also wanted to see how the West would respond to their moves. He blocked the Western Allies' railway, road and canal access to Berlin, also known as the Berlin Blockade.
Why do you think that this is the most important event during the Cold War?
Believe it or not, it was one of the first crises of the Cold War, and also, if it weren't for the airlift, West Berlin would have given up, as Stalin would take control of it and ruin Germany because that was his aim. Stalin also wanted the whole world, and if he had Berlin, then he'd take Germany, which would eventually lead him to taking the entire globe.
What were the effects of the Berlin Blockade?
Some short-term effects included severe food and supply shortages in Western Berlin. In the long term, it caused Stalin to lose face against the Americans. The public, seeing capitalism's victory over communism, was disturbed by the aggression of Stalin's action. NATO was also established during the Berlin Blockade.
What is the Berlin airlift?
The Berlin airlift was one of the first major international crises of the Cold War. In June 1948, the Russians, who wanted Berlin all for themselves, closed all highways, railroads and canals from Western-occupied Germany into Western-occupied Berlin. This, they believed, would make it impossible for people who lived there to get food or any other supplies, and would eventually drive Britain, France and the US out of the city for good. Instead of retreating from West Berlin, however, the US and its allies decided to supply their sectors of the city from the air. This effort lasted for 11 months.
How does your view differ from others who were involved in the same event or movement?
Well, you see, I was the mayor of West Berlin.
In England, in Frankreich, in Italien, schaut auf diese Stadt und erkennt, dass ihr diese Stadt und dieses Volk nicht preisgeben dürft, nicht preisgeben könnt.
And my people were starving, and I had to take care of them and get them food and other supplies, while the Soviets had their minds relaxed and thinking that we're going to give up and eventually have them take our land away. Well, I had to stop that, and that was when the Berlin airlift started. I had to get food and supplies for more than 2 million people, and that's not an easy task. It was hectic.